Station, everybody, because we've got the great Herminio. Reyes Jr. is in the house. Good to see you, man.
What is up? What is up, everyone? Happy new comic book day to everyone out there, like Christmas morning or Christmas day. Every week, us comic book fans get to enjoy it every week. Most people get to enjoy it Christmas once a year. We get to enjoy new comic book day like 52 times in the year, right? That's just beautiful, you know what I mean? But also, we have ourselves Whiplash Wednesday. Happy Whiplash Wednesday to everyone. I don't have the new lineup on here. I thought I put it up here and I didn't. But everybody knows Whiplash, Whiplash Wednesdays. All of us, in the PCP Army Bad Batch. We all represent today, Whiplash, starting with the hashtag Blame Phable Show. And you guys know I always try to find it. And when I need to find it, I never find it. But I found it. Hashtag Blame Phable Show. I was on that show. It was a blast with all those guys over there. We had a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Phable always puts on a great show. Stefan and my man Rogue Trader and all that. It's just a bunch of fun. Oh, Brandon from Comic Kings. Welcome to the PCP Army Bad Batch. My man Brandon Comic Kings is now a member of the PCP Army Bad Batch. Welcome, my brother. Always appreciate you. And then, of course, after that, Rogue not only was on the Blame Phable show, he was end up being on, chatting with the community with TM Nerdy, our favorite Canadian. You know what I'm saying? Chatting it up with the Rogue. Great show, guys. You guys have a fantastic show. And of course, the Comic Kings. After that show, Brandon and Stefan, Missing Link, they put on a great show. I don't have your thumbnail for that. My bad, guys. But they came on, and of course, after that, we have a couple of nice videos, weekly comic book haul by my man Nick, usually at 5 o'clock. He drops a nice little haul. But today I'm very excited. Because today we have a special guest. He was here for a cameo, but now it's a full appearance. So you know what I mean. So I guess this is the official full appearance for the YouTube team up show with me and Sam. And I'm very excited that he's on here. But before we talk about that, of course, after this show, follow up Mariana Rivera of the Night, Chamorro Cinema. You know what I'm saying? They're having a great show. A bunch of them there. I think is their what I like to call Hold My Beer episode. You know what I'm saying? Where they show all the memorabilia and all the figures they got. And I'm just like, wow. And then the next guy's like, oh, yeah, I got one. And then the next guy's like, oh, yeah, I got that one, too. That's my favorite show of the month with that show. So I can't wait. I dig that so much. I know I talk so much. And everybody's like, Herm, you got a partner. Bring in your partner. So I'm going to bring in my partner before we talk about the next guy. And yeah, everybody loves him. Everybody. My man Sam Murdock. What's up, Sam?
Oh, hey, thank you for that. Oh man.
Yeah, I know I talk too much, and I go start rambling. We got an awesome guest, and I'm here rambling like I always do.
No, there's a lot of good stuff out there. You got to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so much fun. Yeah. Sam, before we get to everything, how was your day?
Fantastic. Got some great books. Got to hang out with Bueller, So it was a pretty good day.
Who's Bueller? He's a new guy? Is that a new guy?
Yeah. The new bus guy. New bus guy.
Yeah. The bus guy. He's got a fantastic new bus. He's rebuilding
it.
He's gonna do this road trip. Are you gonna miss him? He's not gonna be a partner no more after that. You know what I mean?
he said he'll be swinging through every now and then, so I'll still see him
Every
every
now
now
and
and then.
then.
Yeah.
That'd be good. I'm sad to see him go from that whole thing, but I'm happy to see him go at the same time. You know what I mean? He
Hey,
has his dreams to visit every comic shop.
Hey,
That's gonna be
yeah,
amazing.
eventually you're gonna be able to meet him. How about that, buddy?
Yeah, yeah. He probably
Yeah.
skips New York. He's like, oh, I don't need to meet Herm.
I
We'll
don't
skip
know
him. We'll
about
leave
that.
him for last.
He's going to every single state, and he wants to go to every comic shop all over.
That's amazing. Like, can you imagine he visits all of them? That is insane. Then he has to go to the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? Through the Matrix and the internet just to visit the ones in the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Enough babbling. I do that a lot. Now, we're here for a reason. Like what?
Yeah, we are.
Who's here? Who we have today, Sam?
Why, we have Bullseye Bob of Everything Comics.
Oh, so today we're gonna talk the Frank Miller run of the Daredevil. So now I have the guru of Daredevil. Let's bring him in, guys.
Bring him in.
Bullseye Bob, Station, my man.
Station, how's it going, fellas?
There he is.
How we doing? Really good. Yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
No, I was just gonna say it is always awesome to have Bob on the show.
Yes, it's always awesome. That I played back that clip with when you came in, a little cameo. We were all happy. Everybody in the chat, we were all happy to see you. You just came in, guns blazing, just full of energy. That was fun, man. I thank you again for that day, and I thank you for coming in and talking some more Daredevil with us.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. You know, my energy is always what it is. Today I'm hoping to be up for you guys, but truth be told, I woke up with this huge sinus condition. My ears are plugged, and so if I say "huh" a lot, it's because I can't hear you. But it's an honor to be here to chop it up with you guys, talking Frank Miller and of course my favorite character, Daredevil. And so I really appreciate it, and thank you guys very much for inviting me.
Oh, no problem, man. I have half of the Portland comic crew up in my show. I mean, what can get better than that? You know what I mean?
The whole Portland comic crew.
Yeah, one day I hope I can get everybody, but I don't want to be greedy. I'll take. But talking about the comic before we talk about the Daredevil, we're having another awesome dude from the comic crew, from the Portland comic crew, and 2 weeks from now, my man, our guy, Sleepy Reader, is going to be on the show. We're going to talk Conan the Barbarian. You know what I mean? September 29th. Yeah. That one at 6:30 p.m. So I'm freaking excited. I got an AOK from him and got me some Conan books so I can brush up for that show. Thank you, Sleepy. I'm going to be doing your own video for that. I thought it deserved it. I should have waited to open it and do a video, but I couldn't wait. When I got the box, I was like, I can't wait. It's like Christmas morning, like I always talk about. That's what happened with the box of Sleepy.
You couldn't have a better guy on your show for that, because he's the guru when it comes to shirtless, long-haired men with swords. So.
Yeah, I agree, man. That man's amazing. You guys, all you guys in the comic crew, you guys, Portland, you're amazing. I hope everybody in Portland is like you guys, because I love your shows and all that, and it's an honor that you guys could come here. It's an honor that I could do a show every week with Sam. Like, I feel like I'm blessed. So, real quick, before we get to where we're here for, I'm going to go to the chats. That's the reason why we're here, right, guys? Real quick, my man JT, John Thomas, is up in here. Station, my man. Brother Joe, American hero. What's up, Brother Joe? That man is awesome. I have a little, for show and tell, I have a little something. I don't have a big show and tell. And plus, my guys here probably have better things to show than I do. But I got a couple of things. And something for Brother and Sister Joe came in. For my wife, I'm going to show it here today a little bit later on the show and tell. So I can't wait for that. And speaking of Sleepy Reader, he's up in the house. Station, my man. Thanks for joining us.
How's it going, Damien?
2 weeks. We got him, man. 2 weeks. Hi, hon. How you doing? My lovely wife, Station. Happy New Comic Book Day, she says to everyone. You know what I mean? Totally appreciate my wife. I'm sure a lot of us do appreciate our wives. But some guy named Sam Tango Webb keeps coming every week. I don't know. Who is this guy?
I think that was a clone.
A clone.
That was a clone.
So you got the clone saga going on in Portland.
Yeah.
Oh man, my thing is jumping now. Ooh, there you go. 62 station, my man. Mr. Lefty Blues over here. Fargate. Not to just mention
Fargate.
Tomorrow, we were supposed to have an Amazing Collector Edition show. Yes, Monday night.
Monday?
I wasn't feeling up to it. I wasn't feeling well. So we're gonna do it tomorrow night at 6. Me and Fargate, the Amazing Collector Edition show.
Nice.
We're gonna talk awesome stuff, collected editions, what's next, what you can order ahead of time before you wait for it to come the Tuesday or the Monday on some of these sites.
Mm-hmm.
You can order ahead of time and not miss out on it. We're gonna talk all about that tomorrow, and I hope you guys can join us for it. And who else is up in here? Missing Link Station, my man. The guy, sometimes you can't find him. You know what I mean? He hangs out with Where's Waldo and Carmen San Diego, but sometimes even they can't find him. So you never know where you find Missing Link. But now he's officially in the lineup. So welcome to the lineup, Whiplash Wednesday, my man. And who else is up in here? Oh, Cerebros Station, Verno.
Hey.
Great podcast he does. I think Bob was there before with Bueller, weren't you?
Was I there with Bueller?
Yes, he did. Yes, I remember.
That's right, I was.
Bueller and Bob were on there. Yeah.
Who's this Bueller guy we keep talking about? Yeah, great podcast, guys. Check him out. I have to start putting his link down below. I don't have it yet, but I enjoy it. And if I enjoy it, I'm gonna put the link down because if I enjoy it, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna enjoy it. But keep on keeping on, my man Nick, Station Comic Culture. He's got the new logo up in there. Beautiful logo, bro. Love it. Station, my man. Miguel Boo, Station, man. Thanks for joining us. Steve White, Station. We got wonderful people up in the house. Thanks for joining us. So of course, me 12 minutes in, I'm already like, we haven't even got to the subject, but everybody knows how to do that. You know what I mean? All the time.
If you keep calling out people in the chat, I'm gonna start feeling like one of them lucky cats from Japan. Come on, guys.
Oh, bro, you're right. All right, man. So we're here for talk. I got the little omnibus here. I finished reading not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? This one has like the first official run of the Frank Miller run. So all the there you go. He's got a bunch of books there for it. I'm sure Bob got all the actual issues. You know what I mean?
I got most of them. I don't have all of them, but I have most of them. Since I started collecting, I still do have a few holes in my collection. So I've been slowly grabbing them. But I've never had the omnibus. Eventually, I want to get that because there's a lot of great artwork and tidbits in there. I've actually looked at those omnibus many times because of a lot of the cover art, the scripts that are inside of there. They show a lot of the process on how they created some of the pages, and then of course there's a little forward by. I think there's a forward by Frank Miller in one of them, and then another one there's a forward by Ralph Macchio. I forget who does the third one, but yeah. So I love those omnibus, but I don't own them at this particular point. So, truth be told, get prepared for this because I was all over the place this week. I have my pad with me. I was doing it digitally, guys. So just to be honest, to try to get.
Sometimes that helps, man.
Yeah.
Spells Marvel Unlimited. Let's go.
Definitely.
Yeah. What I noticed with that series is his very first issue. I think it was 186. 168. I'm sorry. Where am I going?
158.
158. 158.
Yeah.
There you go. I actually have that issue. I was looking at the video before and I actually showed it. I was like, "Ooh, I didn't even know I had this first." I didn't know that he drew it, but he didn't write it. Someone else wrote it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was Roger. He came in on Roger McKenzie's run, and Roger McKenzie. There was nothing wrong with what he was doing, but it became kind of cookie cutter, and the actual the actual series was kind of failing at that particular point. They were getting ready to cancel it. And then here comes this kid, Frank Miller. And I mean, we'll I'm sure we'll get into it during during the session. But one of the things that Frank Miller did is, everybody thinks he came in like gangbusters and everything changed, and it wasn't like that. I mean, he subtly changed things until you could tell in the very beginning he was kind of grooming this for what he wanted, and slowly he started to take over, and it's kind of an ease into it, and so he was very smart when it comes to that. But Roger McKenzie was doing the writing at the time, and Frank Miller came on. And, of course, you can't highlight Frank Miller's artwork enough inside of the series. It's very kinetic. It changed the face of some things. I mean, a lot of people have copied that format ever since. So not just the writing, but the artwork, he definitely it was a paradigm shift.
Yeah, I enjoy it so much. I'm looking through this book, and I'm just like, I keep bling, 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 bling. And it's an awesome, fun read. It's like, I never felt like, it's too much. You know what I mean? And actually, the very last issue I read from this book, which is issue 191, was actually the one with the most writing on it. But we'll talk about that a little bit later and how that happened. But that's what I noticed about this run. It was like there's a lot of fighting issues and all that, and I enjoyed it. I just love the art, and I sit there 3 or 4 times just look at the art. You know what I mean? Usually people just keep going, but you have to sit there and just enjoy that stuff, man. Frank Miller, I always liked them and all that, but I didn't know he was after. I always thought he was writing and drawing, and then I see that we were just talking about the other guy. And then 4 or 5 issues in, he starts, hit the run with himself, and his name is even on the omnibus here.
It was issue
one guy.
168 is when Frank Miller started. Right.
And that's when Elektra comes in and all that, right? So
it was actually before that, Sam. He
was it?
Yeah, because he started writing on the issue that Dr. Octopus comes in, which is a few issues before that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was very big in trying to bring Spider-Man villains into the Daredevil, Daredevil genre. They let him have Kingpin and they let him have Dr. Octopus for that issue, but they really held Spider-Man villains close to the belt. And so, I'm pretty sure it was the Doc Ock issue.
Okay.
All right.
Which, by the way, well, you said we're going to go over our favorite issues and our the ones we hate the most, right?
You could do that. The ones we like the least.
Least. Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to put it that way, but
hate's a strong word.
No.
There's a particular issue that just
I don't hate any of these. Everything I read was awesome.
All right.
Everything. So.
Well, we might as well go right to it. Which one's the one that you least liked?
I can't remember which one it is. I think it might be the Doc Ock issue, but it's the issue where Foggy has his wedding, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. What the hell was up with with what he was wearing, man? Is he a clown? And was the guy he brought to the wedding a clown? I mean, he's got these colorful diamonds all over his jacket. It was he just looks like a clown. It didn't look like you're supposed to be getting up for your wedding, bro. I mean, it's like, your girl, what you gonna say when you come to the wedding like that, bro? Come on.
That was really bad. Right there.
It was weird, right? And so
it was very weird. Okay, that's one of the early ones then. I'm trying to remember. The issue 166 was it? Or I'm trying to remember the issue. Yeah, 166. Yeah, 166. Yeah, that's the Doc. Because I know my man Sam loves Doc Ock, so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was amazing. I like that issue.
Yeah, I mean that part was great, but the whole Foggy wedding, man, I was like, this is Foggy's wedding, bro. Come on.
Sleepy Reader asks, does Miller start co-plotting before fully writing?
I would say yes.
Yeah, I believe so.
And I'll tell you why. Let me just pull this out. So he started in 158. Roger McKenzie was still writing in issue 160. Just take a look at this cover right here, and you tell me what you see.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. You have something that they would never be able to get away with now. right?
Yes.
And here we are in issue 160, and you can tell that Frank Miller has his imprint on this. He wanted to use Bullseye so bad. He had a plan for Bullseye inside of his mind on what he thought Bullseye should be with Daredevil. It was like the perfect nemesis. And before he actually started writing, this was his idea, I guarantee it. And then, of course, the issue before that, when he gets in the fight with Black Widow, he's got the hairdryer around her neck. And then, of course, next issue, they actually put it on the cover. You know, never be able to get away with this today. This is some like, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
But I would say, to answer Sleepy Reader's question, that, you know, did he collaborate on it before he started writing? I would say that a lot of the ideas he was bringing in were very strong, and they let him do what he wanted to do very early on.
Yeah. I also I got so many things in my head. I want to make sure I don't forget. But like noticing he did put a lot of Bullseye in there, and a lot of Bullseye was throughout his run. You know what I mean? I loved it. I love the whole thing with the love triangle he has with the current girl he's got, that she's always breaking up with him and all that. You know what I mean? And we'll get more to it a little bit later. But I like Frank Miller did a great job in this. I don't know how much more I can say that. Sam, anything before we get deep into anything, like do you have a least favorite?
A least favorite issue?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's one, I mean, I still like it, but probably if I had to say a least favorite was when the issue after Daredevil fought the Hulk, when he's in the hospital. But I like that issue too, though. But,
yeah.
So wait, so he fight? I don't get it. Like, you don't like the issue because he was in the hospital, or? No.
Well, you're asking me to pick a least favorite, and I guess.
Oh yeah. It was my fault. It was, but if I don't remember, who was it that visited him after that? Was it the Black Widow? Or was it, because I know, like, Black Widow, like she has a couple of issues, and then
the Avengers.
The Avengers pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then you got what's his face, who's writing the article, and then he decides not to.
Urich?
Ben Urich.
Yeah, Urich. Yeah.
Let's jump. Okay, so I know, because we're not gonna be able to talk about every single issue, so just jumping on parts. You talk about Ben Urich. The way he discovers Matt's secret is like pretty quick. He gets on pretty quick. His I keep forgetting her name. The one he wanted to marry.
Heather Glenn.
Yeah.
Heather. Yeah, like he's in the crowd. He's fighting with, I think it was that Hulk issue, where she's like, Matt, and then he's looking at her like, Matt. You know what I mean? And it's Daredevil there fighting, and then he puts two and two together and then calls a meeting with him, and they're in the middle sitting down there and all that, and he says, yeah, you're Daredevil, and he's trying to like deny it and all that until he shows him, Ben shows Urich shows him the picture of his father, and then he breaks and he's like, yeah, that was me. I was like, what?
But I mean, he Ben Urich, he was onto it far before that, because he was if you look at through the issues, he kept talking about, how he knew and how he was almost about to talk to him about it, and then he didn't, and then how this would be the Pulitzer Prize story of his career, because he knew, but he just didn't have that point to actually prove it or to lay it on Daredevil yet. And so once that happened, it was the perfect moment for him. But Ben Urich, if you read the issues previous, he was leading up to it for a long time. I love what Frank Miller did by using Ben Urich the way he did, because Ben Urich became such a huge character to the title. He was used before this, but the way he used them was just fantastic. The writing, the build up, there's a noir feel, when you start bringing Ben Urich into it. And so, but before she actually said that that was just his moment to be like, okay, 2 and 2, you're on the hook. I'm laying this on you. Here's a picture of your dad. But here's my article, bro, which he never published.
He never did. Like he, of course, he has a heart, so he's like, all right, maybe this is bad, to reveal his secret, because he does have people he care about. You know what I mean? That's why even though Jameson doesn't understand, you know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes these guys can't have, people know who they are, because their loved ones get caught in the mix and all that. So he did a good job. But then in one of the issues, a little bit later, he's like, but if you die, I'm publishing this. I was like, oh, thanks, dude.
That's right. If you die, I'm getting my Pulitzer, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, that what's funny is that famous first issue. I'm gonna do jumping back and forth the whole show.
That's fine.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind. He fights Deathstalker, which is an issue from the issue before. He continues Miller. He doesn't start new. He continues a story into the next one. Did you think that was kind of weird? Were you reading Daredevil comics at the time?
I was, and it was about the time that when he did the Black Widow cover was about the time I was hopping back onto the title, because it had been kind of dry for a little bit, and when he brought the issue with Elektra in, and especially the issue with Kingpin, that was the turning point for me, because it became this whole other thing. And it was so much different than anything that was going on in comics at the time. But Frank Miller had a way of doing a lot of these one-shot stories, but also, I wouldn't say that it's a continuation of the story before, but using elements from it before, so it made it more cohesive, like it was long-form storytelling. And but if you look at it, really, a lot of what he was doing were one-shots.
Yeah, I noticed that as I was reading it. It was a lot of that. You didn't see a lot of, like you said, continuations on anything, which I was fine with. You know what I mean? I'm cool with that. Some people want the connect, the extra parts. He did a great job with I just want to keep reading, and he does that. He completes the story. It was refreshing. It was refreshing.
Yeah. It's kind of like the way they do a lot of TV nowadays. You have this overarching story that's going on, but in between it, you got all these filler episodes that don't really mean anything. They're like one-shot little things that continue, kind of stretch the season out. But then you get back to that main arc that's going on, like the way he puts Bullseye, throughout the whole thing. That's part of a whole arc that he's doing with that character, even though he's got all these other stories going on. So it was fantastic the way he was ahead of his time.
Yeah. We could keep going with that. But Heather Glenn, real quick, how did she find out he was Daredevil? Like right off the bat, I didn't get to read a lot of those earlier issues. So did it just happen, or was she a character that's been around for a while?
I know that there's the whole thing where he went to Glenn Industries and kind of blew the whistle on what was going on there, and her dad killed herself as a result. I can't remember where it was actually that she either caught onto it or he told her, but by the time we get to the Miller run, she already knew. But if I remember right, it had to do with the death of her father, and then it was him divulging it. That's how I think I remember it happening.
And I think was it? I think there was a cover where she was yelling, she was screaming or yelling at Matt, and he had his mask off or something like that.
It didn't say in the run, because like I said, I recently read it. She already knew before her father died, at least what I read. All I know is she knew it, and then she keeps wanting to spend time with him. He's there though, you know what I mean? Never has time and all that. And then every time she tries to do something or says she loves him, she's willing to give up the industry for him. And she's like, oh, he wants to marry. In one of the things she was saying, she was signing off the deeds, and she's like, oh, he just wants to marry me. He doesn't want me to do all this. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks I'm just a girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he tries to give her love, and he's like, not now, honey. Later. You know what I mean? I'll call you later. It's just like, wow, he's not even caring what she's feeling right now. You know?
But beyond that, maybe he's not caring what she's feeling. In the moment, he's got other things that he thinks is more important. Right? And then her reaction to it every time is to dump him and go out with somebody else, right?
Yes,
and then she comes back to him. Then she dumps him and goes out with somebody else. Matter of fact, that Doc Octopus issue was not the one with the wedding. The Doc Octopus issue was the one where she brings that dude Rico, right? And he's disco moves, right? And that was so cheesy. I was like, every time I see that panel where she's all, this is my friend Rico. and so
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So she kept going back to dude every time that Matt wouldn't pay attention to her, and then of course she'd get mad at herself and come back and say, oh, I love you. And anyway, it was just this, you never knew where she was going to be.
Even that night when she's going through the worst with her company and all that, and she looked like she called collect or something, and she's on the phone, and he puts her on hold. When they talk about something really serious, like he's talking serious to her, I love you and all that, we need to do something, and then he's like, oh wait, hold on, and she's like,
right.
What? Then he goes back and she's gone.
Well, it wasn't like Foggy just came in the room. It's like the city is about to fall down, and so I gotta put you on hold here.
Yeah, I gotta put you on. Sorry, honey. I enjoyed the Frank Miller great little bits that he puts in there, and the jokes he puts in. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
So can I give you a segue into something?
Sure.
Let me just give you a quick segue. So, what we're talking about just illustrated the fact that Matt Murdock loved Hell's Kitchen more than he loved Heather Glenn. And now that we're on Hell's Kitchen, Frank Miller did something else inside of the run that no other artist had done before. He made the city a character unto itself.
He made it come alive.
Absolutely. There are panels that he does where it's just the city that, I remember back in the day just blew me away. The angles that that he portrays, it was different paneling than I had ever seen before. And, all of a sudden the lighting and, the back streets of Hell's Kitchen and the buildings, the tops of the buildings, all became a character unto itself. And I think Frank Miller is the guy who started that, and so many people have copied since. I know a lot of it was done in old crime noir, so I can't say he invented it, but he sure brought it to comics at a time when it wasn't really being used effectively.
It's true.
Oh yeah, like you said, he changed the game. He changed the game with Daredevil, because it was coming out bi-monthly. If I read right here, and then out of nowhere, in 171, it becomes monthly after that.
Right.
And credit that to Frank Miller, because those were issues nobody was caring about, and he made people care about it. So kudos, man, Frank Miller, the man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. He actually said on the cover, that it was going monthly, and that was a big thing because it was on the verge of getting canceled. And if you were a Daredevil fan, man, you saw that cover, you were excited because they didn't have comic book news back then, too much. And so when you had something like that on the cover, it's like that keyed you into the fact, I'm going to get this monthly now, So it was good. It was fun.
There was this one moment in I think it was his first, like, beginning his run, where Daredevil's like, man, I'm having all these problems and all that. And you see Peter Parker and MJ walking outside. He's like, I wish I could be like that couple that has no problems. That's one of my favorite early moments when I started to chuckle because like Peter Parker and Mary Jane, like they went through hell, you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's got jokes like that filtered all throughout. I just love it.
All over. Like there's so much I couldn't even write them all down. But Sam loves Doc Ock. What do you think about those animanium tentacles he tries to get in that issue, the Doc Ock issue?
I'm glad that he didn't permanently get those. I would just say. because
it would have been trouble, right?
he's already kind of tough as it is. I mean, adamantium arms. I mean, jeez.
And then, like, real quick, I wanted to talk a little bit about Black Widow in the beginning. She only lasts a few issues in the beginning. She comes back later. You know, she's in that gray suit with the short hair and the spider on her boob. And which is I think I don't like that suit. Do you guys like that suit?
Not really. You know, I mean, they've changed it over the years. But yeah, I didn't quite like that suit. But also at the same time, I think that Miller didn't use Black Widow as much as he normally would because he was bringing Elektra in. And I think he wanted to focus more on that character. And I'll just tip my hat. Yeah, I've said this before. You guys probably know this, but I was never an Elektra fan until just recently, right? Back in the day when I was reading the book, I had realized that Frank Miller had created the character to kill her. And so because of that, she never had any real meaning to me. I understood, you know, to me, Matt was always a ladies' man, right? I mean, let's face it, Matt Murdock was a ladies' man. And I mean, more than any other character I've seen in superhero comics, you know, he's got the ladies, bro. And so, you know, having her, you know, be written in, shoehorned in as a love inside of college that all of a sudden comes back. And then all of a sudden, you know, just a few issues later, you're going to kill her. Back when I was reading it, I realized, you know, she was just created as a vehicle. And that's the way I felt. And it wasn't until recently that I really, especially when she became Daredevil in the recent run by Chip Zdarsky. But I always had a problem for the longest time with so many people just loving that character. And I thought she was a throwaway character. What are you talking about? So anyway, just telling you, tipping my hat. That's the way I've felt about Elektra for years. And, but he definitely had a plan for that character in the book, and I believe that that's why you don't see Black Widow as much as you do in previous issues.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's exactly why she disappeared. Like, she saw he was in love with Heather, and she boated. You know what I mean? And like you said,
which is why I also think that, you know, Daredevil kicked the crap out of her. I mean, Bullseye kicked the crap out of her as quickly as he did. Right, because he wanted to show a juxtaposition as well, because he had a much harder time with Elektra. He actually had a long fight with her. So, you know, so there was a plan involved with Black Widow, you know, to kind of highlight this other character as well. And I think it all goes together. But I mean, that's the reason why I think you don't see Black Widow as prevalent inside of Frank Miller's run as some of the other characters.
And jumping ahead a few issues. She even comes back and she kind of meddles into the relationship between him and Heather. You know what I'm saying? Like the letter, like Foggy they both worried about Matt and stuff and think he shouldn't be marrying this girl, right? So she forges a letter on both sides saying, "Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to get married and all that." And you know, like that Black Widow, that was her. Like
right.
She couldn't stay because she thinks he's in love, but nobody else could get married to him. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on. Like you say, he's a ladies' man. Everybody, even Elektra, when she comes in, she finds out she's with Heather too, and she's not thinking that. You know what I mean? And she left him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just really quick, somebody in the chat, John Thomas, good buddy John Thomas, he said Gore Vidal has been waiting for me to say that for a long time. I love my good friend Gore Vidal, and he's always we had a running joke about Elektra for a long time, and so he knows full well that I changed my heart towards Elektra recently. So hope we get to see him in the chat today. That would be cool.
Nice. Where was I? Oh yeah, Elektra. So yeah, so. Before we get to Elektra, I want to get to this gladiator guy. You know what I mean? So
Melvin Potter.
Yeah. So he was evil. He was bad, but in they're trying to reform him. What do you guys think about this whole run with the gladiator?
I'll let Sam go first on this one.
Yeah, Sam.
I I don't. This was probably back in the day. This was like my first experience with the Gladiator. So, because I didn't read a whole lot of Daredevil at first back in the day, but he was an interesting character. There seems to be a lot going on with him. He's trying to possibly redeem himself, so.
He had a lot of issues with thinking he's part of the Greek times back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
they think he goes crazy. So Matt, throughout the issues, trying to get him, make sure he stays out of that.
Yeah.
So for Frank Miller, the way he wrote Melvin Potter to me was bittersweet, and I'll tell you why. Some of you know this, some of you don't, but it was Gladiator who actually got me into reading Daredevil comics. One of the first times I walked into a comic shop is the first time that I saw a back issue of the original John Romita issue of Gladiator when he's diving over the top of him, and Daredevil looks like he's just like on his back fighting for his life. Yeah. It was such a ferocious cover, and only the way John Romita could draw action. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, what is that? I want that. And so that was my first foray into the Daredevil comic books. And so I've always had a love for the Daredevil villain. So I was always so mad that they didn't use him more. Don't know why. He became one of those background villains, and I was always mad about that. Very glad that they used him in the Daredevil comic books. But here, Frank Miller is kind of bringing him back into the foray, but not to make him the bad villain like he's been in the past, but to show that there's a different side to Melvin Potter, show his relationship to Betsy, show that he's got mental health problems, which, again, Frank Miller, introducing things inside of the comics that, wasn't, as prevalent back in the day, showing mental health problems the way they were portraying it. And so here you have him kind of, giving up being the Gladiator, for Betsy, because if he's basically that one scene is that if he's there and he's got that helmet on, then he's alone. And so he throws the helmet away. And it's a great moment. I'll give you that. It's a great story arc for Melvin Potter, but bittersweet for me because that means I don't get any Gladiator for going forward. Of course, they did bring him back a few times, but he's always been one of my favorite villains and the reason I got into Daredevil in the first place. And so it's a great arc, but it was kind of bittersweet for me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I enjoyed the whole Gladiator thing. I didn't know a lot about Gladiator. I started learning a little bit more about him when I started going back through Marvel Unlimited and reading all the older stuff, which I still gotta do. I've been going in and out of the Daredevil. We have the new stuff to read and all that. But so like reading this, I read more about Gladiator than I ever did. And he made me care for him. You know what I mean? He made me sit there, and I was like, "Oh man!" So I'm here rooting for him. Then you got that issue with the one that looks like him with the mask. I forgot his name already. And then that whole issue, and everybody's blaming Gladiator, and it really wasn't him. And Matt's trying to fight for his right, and he ends up winning that case because it wasn't him. It was some other dude. You know what I mean? So
it looked like him.
Yeah. So I love that whole thing and that whole relationship with Becky, her name was, and that was cool too. But I want to shift to Foggy, and you talked about the wedding earlier. What's the character he was getting married to?
I can't remember what her name is.
Man, I should have wrote that down. But anyway, is
That
she
was
a character that's been around a lot, or she's here and there, like a backup character or something like that?
Well, I don't remember him being married for very long. I really don't, and I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you where she actually steps out of the picture, you know, because it's been a while since I've read the whole run. But I don't remember Foggy being married for too long, especially, you know, since he showed up to his wedding in that jacket. I can imagine.
Well, it was weird because those were the issue. I don't think Frank Miller was writing yet. You know, he was drawing, but the other guy was drawing it, writing it, and she was all flirty with Matt. You know what I mean? I was just looking at that one panel where she's all flirty, and Matt's like all uncomfortable and stuff like that. And I'm just like, did I miss something? Maybe I should have went back and read a little bit of the run before this. And that's why I had to ask you.
Yeah.
I was like,
the Daredevil comic book had a history of women that weren't too cool, I guess you could say. I mean, even Karen Page in the very beginning, some of the things that she says to him, and it may have been Stan Lee's writing. Maybe he was just, you know, obtuse about things back then. But I mean, there's just certain things you don't say to a handicapped person that she would say back then. And then, you know, she was kind of mean to him, and kind of always mean to him, actually. And you know, supposed to be the love of his life. And there were a couple of other women that were like that. I mean, even Heather Glenn, the way she, you know, kept flip flopping and going with Rico and then coming back to Matt. You know, it was all a long line of, even though he's a ladies' man, his picker's broken, bro. He's picking some wrong women.
yeah.
he needs a good woman in his life.
Well, the one that love him a lot too, but he doesn't even look at her. It's another kind of, because he's handicapped, because he's blind. The handicapped secretary that he ends up that likes him and all. In the beginning, they show that. They don't really talk about it in the rest of the run. That was early in the Frank Miller run, but you saw that she likes him and stuff like that. So, ladies, man, I guess everybody's gonna like, you know, so everybody's gonna like some Matt up in there. But yeah,
yo, bro, he's Irish Catholic, all right. They're gonna be drawn to him, all right.
Yeah. It's a magnet, literally a chick magnet. Yeah, well, she has her own issue later in the run, in the first run, and that was the mask guy. I can't remember his name right now, but that mask guy ends up being the one that attacked her and crippled her, and then that's why she's all crazy. And then she had to finally Matt convinced her to testify against him, because that was just not cool. And yeah, I got Gladiator got free for that. You know what I mean? Because she thought it was the Gladiator. Yeah. You know?
I don't remember if he had like a super like a villain's name. I think it was just an arbitrary guy's name, and I don't remember what it was. But yeah, that was definitely kind of a cool vehicle to show that, you know, he was the one that was responsible, and you know, that gave Matt the ability to be able to you know, clear Melvin's name through her confession, you know, as part of the testimony. So I thought that was a cool vehicle.
Yeah.
Nice. So back like I said, I bounced back and forth, but back to Elektra, which I keep forgetting the issue number of her first appearance. You guys remember the issue number?
168.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're right. 168. She shows up. Her whole origin story is up in there and all that. When they were younger, their love and all that. Her dad, you know, gets killed and all that. She leaves, comes back, and then of course, like we always thought, she sees he's with somebody. Like she's not cool with that. But in the beginning, it shows her like stone cold, and then she gets a little soft in the middle. And then towards the end, she get when the Kingpin finally shows up, which we're just gonna talk about. That's why I'm trying to segue to the Kingpin. Where he starts hiring her for that. When I start with you, Sam, when the Elektra character came in. We already know how Bob felt. How did you feel when Elektra came in? Did you dig her character in that issue?
Yeah. I mean, again, I had to, you know, reread some of this stuff, and Elektra is a very interesting character, and I like her backstory. How, you know, later on you find out that she met Matt way back when he was in college and stuff like that. So I like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, and you're right though, but it does show that she's cold, and then she warms up to him. Obviously, they were in love when they were in college. She left him. She because of her father. She ends up becoming an assassin, and when she realizes that Matt is Daredevil, then now he becomes her enemy. Because she blames Daredevil for what happened in that regard. So it goes going back and forth. But she kept showing that even though he's supposed to be her enemy, she definitely keeps showing this part where down deep she loves him as well. So that's always been part of that story.
And the part where even when the Kingpin hires her to kill Foggy and all that, she can't go through with it. You know what I mean? And right when
yeah.
She doesn't. Like she stops. She was ready to kill him. She doesn't, and that's when Bullseye comes in, and they have their whole fight, and that's what the big murder scene happens when he kills her. With her own side and stuff like that. So
and let me just say, as a side note, the way Frank Miller drew action, especially the fights that happened between him and Bullseye and Elektra and Bullseye. Can't we just have action in comics like that again? I mean, where you get like half a comic book where they're just going at it. We haven't seen that for a long time, and I miss those days. I mean, those were the days. Just like every page, you were just like glued, man. It was good stuff, and especially the way he drew action back then. But my favorite part about that whole hit on Foggy was when Elektra is actually going down to hunt out Kingpin herself, and when she finally gets to him, he's sitting there behind his desk waiting for her, and basically says, "Come on in, I want to talk to you." The way he wrote Kingpin was so smooth inside of just the way he did him. Awesome. I mean, just awesome. I mean, he completely changed the face of that character. We got an echo going on?
Yeah, the echo guy came back. The echo.
No, not the echo.
Let me mute. See if it's me.
Is it you?
It's not me. Sam, mute it. Let's see if it's you.
You want me to? Is it me?
No, I don't know. Just mute.
Mute? Oh, mute myself? Okay. Here, I'll mute myself.
There you go. Can it still echo?
Are we echo?
Hello? Still
Nope.
echoing?
I don't hear you.
We gotta do. All right, Sam. We're gonna have to do the when you're ready to talk, unmute yourself thing again.
You're on timeout, Sam.
Or I could just go out and come back.
Let's try that. Go
Okay.
with that. Yeah.
All right.
Then there was two. Real quick before we get Sam back. Apologize, technical difficulties. We can't control that, right, guys? Thanks everybody for being here. Know that we got Sif Lordy earlier. Station still here. Tucum Pedro, pew pew, up in here. You know what I mean? Comic Crazy.
Brian,
my man. Yeah, he's here. You guys are awesome. Steve M, Station, Real Rude, Station, X11, Station, JT Don Thomas is stood up in here. We got our guy back. Let's see if it works. Boom.
How is it? Is it okay?
Echo, no echo. All right. Boo, 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 boo. Oh, we're good.
Okay.
We're good for now. Where were we up to? I got thrown off.
we were talking about Elektra, and we were starting to ease into her arc.
Yeah, her whole arc. I had a whole point, and it went out the window because what you were just talking about with all the fighting scenes and all that. I was thinking the same thing when I was reading. I was like, it's like today they're afraid to have a few panels like that, like a few pages. Like, no, we have to have word in every page. You know what I mean? I want a nice fighting scene like that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I forget which issues was it. X-Men 211 and 212. It was like almost 2 full comic books of Sabretooth and Wolverine going at each other. I mean, you know, they need to bring those days back.
But you think that's just the new crowd not wanting stuff like that, or you know, the new readers.
I don't want to say it's intentional, but I think that the way comics are written nowadays, you know, unless you're James Tynion, it's not as witty. And so, you know, they really make use of the space on the page, and there's a lot of them that don't want to do just great action scenes for half a comic book. And that's my personal opinion, right? And they want to make use of the story since it's not as wordy as it was to convey what's going on. Because, I mean, if you look at this Daredevil run, I enjoyed so much while I was going back through it. Is that my computer that's doing that?
No, it's Sam. Sam, mute yourself again. I think it's.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I'm so sorry, Sam. Hello,
Sorry,
hello. When you're ready to talk, just unmute. Go ahead, Bob.
I just think that, you know, as I was going through it, it took me more than 5 minutes to read a comic book. You know, there was, even though they used thought bubbles back in the day, and thought bubbles are frowned upon now, the text that was on the page is so much different than it is now. And they use so much, you know, so many more words to convey what was going on. And, you know, that's why I think, since in some sense, what we had back in the day is richer than it was now, because that's why we had those moments of comedy and as well as the moments of action and the moments of narration all mixed in with each other. And you're not getting that as much nowadays. So I think real estate on the page, you know, because of the way things are written now, you're not going to see that as much. I'm not going to say that's the way it is all the way across the board. Please don't think I'm saying that. But for the most part, with the format, the way comic books are written and now, I don't think they lend too much for scenes like that. And I wish they were.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Like I like I said, I enjoy the heck out of those pages. And segue. I'm gonna segue towards the Kingpin.
I was just noticing that Brian from Comic Crazy, he was mentioning that books like Ultra Mega and are you know, kind of based on Ultraman, you know, tons of action. I mean, I think inside of the second book, it was, I think half the book didn't have any dialogue inside of it. So there are still, you know, some out there that are like that. But for the most part, you're not going to find those fights like that. And when they are, you know, they're not grabbing me like they used to. Although I love Ultra Mega, that was a great comic book.
Ultra Mega, yeah, I read the first one, but like I had to make cuts, and it was an $8 book, so it was easy for me to make it. But I might end up collecting in a trade and reading it. I keep hearing how good it is.
It's the same thing when it comes to you know, fights and action. You know, you used to get much more of it, but the same thing with villains nowadays. You don't have long arcs as much as you used to with villains. A lot of times they show up for one issue and they're gone. One issue and they're gone. You know, I'd like to see an arc with that villain more than just these one and dones. And I think that's more prevalent nowadays, where you get that going on as well, unless it's an event type thing.
Yeah. So segue over to the Kingpin. We get the first issue of the. I guess this is issue 171, which is where I think it starts going monthly. 171, and we get the Kingpin in these issues. The whole storyline with Vanessa. Is this the first time Kingpin is in the Daredevil issues?
Yes, this is the very first time that the Kingpin is seen in the Daredevil issues. Again, Kingpin was a Spider-Man villain. I'll let Sam talk about that. And but you know, bottom line was, you know, Frank Miller saw a way to be able to use the Kingpin in a way that he had never been really fully fleshed out before. And you know, he's like a good chef. He was repurposing things to make something new that was, you know, exciting and really tasted good. And that's what he did with Kingpin, because I never loved Kingpin as much as I did as when he started writing that character.
Yeah, I've always been a Kingpin fan, but that has a lot to do with me growing up, you know, at the times and all that, the animated series. Rusker Lee Brown, his voicing the Kingpin, is my favorite voice of the Kingpin. The Kingpin, I am the Kingpin of crime. You know, with that wonderful voice and stuff like that. And yeah. So me going back and reading this from that time, Frank Miller's version of the Kingpin is perfect, man, because he's like, it shows like Kingpin, yes, he's bad and all that, but he's bad because of business. Like, he really, like, if he has to kill someone, he's gonna kill them. But if he doesn't have to, he doesn't even bother. You know what I mean? He's just let him go. You know what I mean? You get some of that in this run, you know. And I love that whole thing. And the whole thing with Vanessa, I didn't know much about that, just what I read and what people tell me. So I finally get to read that whole thing. And I'm guessing, like, I don't even remember. Does he stop being the Kingpin in the Spider-Man issues or in some other issue, or this happened with Frank Miller?
I'll let Sam talk about that.
Sam, what do you think?
You're on mute.
Unmute yourself.
Okay. What was the question again?
When did Kingpin stop being the Kingpin? When he gave it up and went to Japan?
That's a good question.
Because I mean, inside of this Frank Miller run, we have the Kingpin coming back to the United States, right? Because they basically wait. What was the reason that he came back? Because they kidnapped Vanessa, right?
Well, Vanessa, what happened is, secretly, what I've understood is secretly he still has something going on in New York, but New York was falling apart, and there was like some kind of a lawsuit going towards him or something like that. I might get it twisted a little bit, but Vanessa came to New York to clear that up and hired
and got caught up in it. That's right.
Matt and Foggy to fight the case, but all heck breaks loose real quick right when she gets there, and they get attacked, and then she gets kidnapped. And
that's
then
right.
Yeah, so that whole thing blows up. So it makes him come, because he didn't even want to be considered a Kingpin. He was like, I'm not. He beat up one of his guys saying, I'm not the Kingpin anymore. I am Wilson Fisk. You know what I mean? So he comes over to New York and all that just to find Vanessa. But and it's beautiful because people find out he's coming, and he brings in a dummy plane, and everybody thinks he's in there. That blows up, and they die, right? And then he comes in a second plane and smooth, just like the Kingpin would do. He comes unharmed, and in the city, he's already using his powers. He gave it up a long time ago. Go ahead.
Wasn't it the plane blowing up that actually drove her underground where all the homeless people were at?
No, that happened when they were trying to find her, and they had her in the building tied up. And then
That's right.
Yeah, so they brought it to Kingpin's attention to head over there and go get her. He told Flint, which is his lackey, which is a kind of new for me. I know that other guy more than that guy. And Flint was supposed to stay in the car. You know what I mean? But I think like it looked like it was him that shot the thing at the top that made all the rubble fall on her.
Right.
And then he did that because he figured Vanessa was in the way of him being the Kingpin. The reason why he retired because of Vanessa. So, and Vanessa wasn't having that. You know what I mean? Retired Kingpin, or not, I'm leaving. So he did. He retired to Japan. He still had his bodyguard. He still had his money, which I still believe he had some kind of crime going. You know what I mean? But he just did it behind her back. And then that's when the rubble fall, and everybody thought she was dead. and then later on she wasn't dead. Bring Sam back. All right, Sam.
I'm just testing out my mic, but I don't know.
All right. I'm sorry, Sam. Sorry about the echo and all that. But if you need to chime in, chime in. Don't worry about it. We'll quiet and let you talk. All right. But
All right.
yeah. So Sam, you remember the whole thing with Vanessa and the rubble falling on her, and then having that that whole thing happen?
Yeah. There was a like a whole underground thing going on, and there was a big guy. he looked like albino Kingpin or something.
Yeah. I was like looking at it like, what the heck was that?
That was kind of weird, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was like, I know Halloween's coming, but damn.
And Vanessa's wandering around. She's got dirt on her face, and yeah.
She looked like a leper. Like, pocked and everything. She looked like a leper.
Yeah.
And you know, she's the queen of the wrong king down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they start eat something, like they start repeating stuff all the time. Eat, sleep, or whatever.
Money for food. Money for food.
There you go. Money for food. Exactly. And that happened a few issues before. People were going money for food.
Yeah.
So like Frank Miller already planted those seeds on issues before, and then you finally see that, and that's why everybody was saying that, because this weird dude and made her his queen and all that. That's when Daredevil comes in and saves the day and try to get her out. But
Daredevil had gone down and found that there was a whole underground community down there, and Vanessa walks past him, and he doesn't even notice her.
Yeah. I think Ben, you're the one that discovered her, because he took a picture.
Yeah,
he looked at the picture. Oh, it's Stefan. What? That's when he tells Daredevil. Now that I remember.
Yeah.
And then that's how they go down there and go get her. And then Daredevil gets her, right? He uses her because Daredevil and Ben and the city did not want the cricket guy that Kingpin was hiring to I don't remember his name, but I call him the cricket guy. To be mayor and in the election, so he makes him step down, and he'll give him his wife back.
That's exactly right. The mock mayor was Chirai. So his last name was Chirai. That's all I remember. And but you know, this is one of the reasons why I really loved the Daredevil Netflix show, was because those tropes that we're talking about right now are in the show, where his organization believes that Vanessa is the reason why he's slipping as the Kingpin or not being the Kingpin that he should be, and they try to, in this particular case, you know, she gets kidnapped, but in the show they actually try to poison her, and you know, showing his organization the way that he is. These are all tropes that were in that show, which I just absolutely loved. They pulled a lot from the Frank Miller run on the outskirts of the show, which I just thought is fantastic. So, but yeah, Kingpin's arc is inside of this book is, I mean, it's practically poetry. Especially my favorite issue of the Born Again run, which is the issue called Apocalypse. This is where you find out just how diabolical the Kingpin is. We got a smattering of it when he first comes back to New York, and you realize that, you know, just with some maneuvers, he doesn't have to take New York back over. He just puts things in place, and they practically give it to him. I mean, that's how smart he is. But then when he finds out Matt's identity, and you realize all the strings that he's pulling behind the scenes, where no single person knows the exact truth or any piece of information except maybe a tidbit, so that nobody could ever understand that it's Kingpin pulling the strings to dismantle his life bit by bit. This was Frank Miller, the magnum opus of what the Kingpin truly is. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. He's the Kingpin of crime.
Come on.
He's just the best, man. I love that. He probably is my favorite villain next to like the Green Goblin when it comes to Spider-Man. So the fact that I get to read him in the Daredevil run is just like I was in heaven. Like, if you could be in heaven reading comics, that's where I was, you know. So I'm gonna keep saying away because we can be all night. I just realized, like, we only cover a few of the issues and all that, and we could go all night. So I'm gonna keep jumping. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna try just trying to get a little bit later. There's also the issue called Gang War and everybody trying to, you know, that's all part of that whole arc with Vanessa and all that. I want to talk like Sam, you first. Do you have a favorite issue of this run before we keep going? We'll do that because we're an hour in. I want to make sure I get everybody's favorite issue of the whole run.
Okay, let's do it like this, right? Give us your favorite issue, but take Born Again out. Just take that out of the run, and then tell us your favorite issue, because Born Again is too easy, right?
Yes, it really is. It really is. Probably. Wow. I gotta go with issue 181.
It's a great issue, man.
I gotta do it.
Bullseye versus Elektra.
Yeah.
The famous issue. And why is it your, because of that? I mean, it's obvious. Bullseye versus Elektra.
Well, because it's kind
did
of
it break your heart.
yeah, it really did, and it just shows you how badass Bullseye is, and Elektra is just fighting and fighting, and man, Bullseye, he's just vicious, you know, ruthless, and yeah, it was heartbreaking.
And that whole thing with what happened with her and all that. I'm gonna mute you real quick, Sam. The whole thing with her and happened with Bullseye, I love that issue, and I love the next issue that you know, Matt's kind of cuckoo. You know what I mean? Somehow he thinks, oh, she's still alive. She's still alive. So she keeps going crazy. Everybody notices he's going crazy, and he ends up going to the cemetery to dig her out to make sure she really is dead. You know what I mean? And everybody's like, well, they caught her up and all that. She's dead. And he didn't want to face it, so he finally dug her out and saw her face. And then he was like, she's dead, and he starts crying. So I enjoyed that whole arc. But that is a great issue with our favorite issue, Sam. Bob, do you have a favorite issue from the first run?
Yeah, I mean, if you take Born Again out of the equation, my favorite issue is definitely going to be the story called Roulette.
That's the last one.
Where basically, that's not the last one, because Born Again happens after that.
Oh yeah, but that's the last one from the first run. Like what I have in this omnibus.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay, okay. So I think there's 3 omnibus, and so there's a break that happens just for a few issues, and then the run continues with the story, which is where then the Born Again happens. So, but Roulette is basically where he goes to the hospital where Bullseye is at. After he's taken that fall, you know, all his bones are broken, he can't move, and seeing the devastation that Bullseye has caused, especially when he recounts the story of this boy, Matt, in a certain sense, kind of snaps and does something that is completely out of character. You know, and I'm not going to say that is out of character for somebody to write him, because we've seen him do crazy things before when he's emotionally compromised. Case in point, like inside of the Kevin Smith Daredevil run, you know, he was about to throw the baby off the building, right? And that's completely out of character for him, but because of where he'd been brought to. So here we are in another case where he basically he takes a .38 revolver into the hospital room where Bullseye can't move a muscle, and he's like, well, let me just pull the trigger for you, you know. But here's the thing, this is, and I'm going to divulge something that I've never divulged before. All right. I've always wanted to be a writer. I'm not that great at writing dialogue, but I've always had great ideas for stories, and that issue in comics is one that I've always kept in my back pocket, the story Roulette. Because if you notice the way he writes Chucky the boy. The boy sits there and watches the video of the fight between Daredevil and Bullseye over and over and over again. And while he's watching it, he thinks that he's Daredevil, right? So like when he's away from it, everything he does and everything he says, you know, he thinks he's Daredevil, and people keep telling him, you're not Daredevil. Until he sees how bad his dad is and how much he loves his dad. And then he realizes as he goes back and watches the tape, if I'm from my dad, I'm bad. I'm not Daredevil. And so inside of his head, he starts aligning himself with the bad guy. Now, here's the thing. By the end of the issue, Chucky's life is destroyed. You know, he probably goes to juvenile detention, all that type of stuff. Chucky is a character that's been sitting there that's ripe to bring back. If they end the Zdarsky run with Bullseye dying at the hands of Elektra, imagine if Chucky comes back and takes over the mantle of Bullseye. This is kind of the story I've had in my back pocket for a long time. I always thought it'd be cool to bring that character back at some point and take the mantle of Bullseye and have had that whole storyline come full circle back, you know, back around. And so Roulette has always been kind of one of those issues I've held in my back pocket. I got a couple stories like that. But that's one, I'll never be a Marvel writer, so I don't mind divulging this. So if anybody's out there, if you use that idea, you got to pay me. All right. I'm just saying that.
That's a great idea, man. Yeah. I saw he, go ahead.
I was just saying, but that story arc with that kid and the way they left it, he's one of those that if a writer did the right thing, you could bring that character back and it would be devastating for Matt Murdock. Oh, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. I remember reading that issue because it was the last one, and there's a what if after it, but I didn't read it for this. I read that one, so it's still freshly on my mind. But that was the one I was telling you. There was a lot, the one with the most words in all his issues. So obviously, I know he wrote more issues after it, but this was looking like a farewell issue. Was there a problem with Frank Miller and Marvel where he ended up stopping the run, or he really wanted to stop there? Did you know anything about that?
I don't. I think it's normal. When some of these artists get on runs, you'll have, the publishing company, will interject other things. They're going to have them take a break for a minute and do something over here while we interject something. That usually what ends up happening. Or sometimes, deadlines start to become too much of a crunch. And so they figure out a way to kind of extend it a little bit for, the big finale that's coming up. So there's a number of reasons why publishing companies used to do this. So it wasn't uncommon to see in the middle of a run, an artist or a writer take a couple of issues off, and then they would just fill it with a couple of filler stories. And so.
Two Guns said that would have been a great what if story, though, with the story you just talked about. Thanks, Phable. Hulk, smash that like button. Yeah, guys, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ding that bell for notifications so you can get more awesome stuff. Awesome people like Bob here, Daredevil and all, giving us all the works here. You know what I mean? And we totally appreciate it. Like I said, I could go all night. We still got a little show and tell up in here. I wanted to go over one of the comedic guys. What's his name?
Turk Barrett.
Like I love it because he's always acts tough. Oh, I'm gonna get him this time. I'm gonna kill him, and then Daredevil runs in the back out of nowhere. they put him on the show, right? The Daredevil show.
That was my favorite part of the Netflix Daredevil show. The guy that played Turk Barrett was awesome. Even when he showed up in the Luke Cage series. He was funny as all get out, and I thought they did a great job in portraying that character. At one point in the comics, Turk ends up taking the Stiltman suit and putting it on too.
That's one of my favorite issues. That's so hilarious. He stole his suit.
But go ahead.
No, I was just saying he tries to go over Kingpin and be serious, and Kingpin didn't even take him serious. Like, oh, get out of my face.
Yeah, him and Grotto were always funny, back in the day. And I was very glad that in the Netflix series they brought back not only Turk, but also in the second season where he's up against Punisher, they brought Grotto into the series as well. And but you know, Grotto was always, you know, being punked by Turk all the time.
Always. But I love the whole scene in the bars and all that and everything. Is just, he always acts tough, and then like when Matt loses his radar because the whole explosion in the airport, looking in the apartment and all that, and he tries to take advantage of that, and he still can't beat him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk about when he kind of loses his radar a little bit, and then he goes to Stick. It was just one of my favorite issues. He goes to Stick to help him bring that back, and they have his whole origin story in that issue. That I think
that was
that's
also the first appearance of Stick.
yeah. So Stick, is that his first appearance of Stick, or did he appear? Right?
Yep.
I figured that.
That's the first appearance of Stick. So there's a lot of first appearances inside of this. First of all, we get you know, the Kingpin as a Daredevil foe. We get Elektra. The Hand makes their first appearance in this run. Stick's first appearance comes. So there's a lot of mainstays for the Daredevil's you know, series going forward that had a lot of first appearances right here.
Yeah, I'm digging this whole thing, and it's funny. Like, I remember the show. I remember everything, the Zdarsky run, everything that I've been reading in the past, even the Daredevil issues I used to have and read. I'm seeing all this. Oh, this is where it came from. You know, like, yes, I'm finally reading them, because a lot of these issues was not available when I was a kid. If there was no omnibuses like that, you know what I mean? There was no, like, you know, back issues. There was none in my LCSs like that. So whatever you read is whatever you see, and that's how I read. So that's why I said, like, I read pieces of, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, before we get off of, you know, Turk, you know, just to kind of tie that up really quick. One of the things, where'd he go? Did he drop off? You're muted.
He'll be back.
Okay. All right.
This happens all the time.
All right.
He's back.
There you go. But, you know, like I said at the beginning of the show, you know, Frank Miller did a thing where he eased into his run. He didn't just come in and it was all of a sudden different and in your face the way that it was. And Turk is one of the biggest examples of that. You know, throughout the series, you know, you see Turk comedically, but, you know, by the end of the run, you know, make no mistake about it, Frank Miller shows you Turk is still, you know, a pretty bad dude on the street, because in the Born Again run, he actually shanks Matt when he's down on his luck in the middle of the street. So, again, you know, you can look at, you know, Frank Miller being a paradigm shift, but if you took the Born Again story, which was the end of his whole run, and you did that at the beginning, that would have been a shock to the system. I don't think comics would have been ready for it. So he eased into this through the whole thing to get to where he was wanting to go, and started interjecting all this stuff, like digging up your dead girlfriend to make sure that she's actually dead. I mean, that's not something that was happening in comics back then, right? But if you read this in succession up till that point, you know, it doesn't seem unnormal for this particular run. But if you would have did that in the beginning, it would have been a whole different ballgame, man. So he was smart the way he eased into all this. And Turk is another good example. Make no doubt about it. He's funny. But this is a thug, man.
Yeah, he really is. He's not show that he's a good guy, because he really will kill him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's a weasel. He's all that, but he will take him out. You know what I mean? He's not like Bullseye likes to play with his prey sometimes, you know?
Right, exactly. Homie will shank you in the street.
Speaking of Bullseye, we ain't gonna get out of here. We talk a little bit about him without talking about your favorite villain in this run. You know what I mean? So let's have at it. Bullseye in this run. What was your favorite parts of this run for Bullseye? Like, I like almost anything. So I'm a cheater. I'm picking all the issues. But what was your favorite moment or issue with Bullseye in this?
I think that issue of 181, where it starts to really get into you know, Bullseye's motivations as well. There's a whole page where you know, it's just going over his conversation with Kingpin and showing where he's at, what he wants to do, and kind of his mindset. You know, before Frank Miller grabbed a hold of him, all you ever used to hear is, any weapon in his hand is a deadly, or anything in his hand is a deadly weapon, right? They had to say that every issue that he was in. And Frank Miller kind of saw, you know, what type of character he could become. And again, he repurposed him in a way that he should have been from the very beginning. And so I love that issue because it starts to get into his motivations. I think that the best portrayal of Bullseye yet was done by Ed Brubaker, and how people should react to him and how he reacts to the world around him. But it was Frank Miller who laid the groundwork, and I believe it started all in these issues. So every moment he shows up, even though it's kind of outrageous. I mean, he's in and out of prison. I mean, when does that happen? It just, you know, one is an escape, one, you know, he gets let off, you know, so it's like, it wasn't like he's around the city waiting to get back into him. You know, so it's kind of weird how he wrote that. But it was about issue 181 where you start getting into a lot of his motivations and you start seeing the juxtaposition, whereas Matt doesn't want to kill anybody, and he wants to save Bullseye. Bullseye is mad because Matt actually saved him. It's like an affront to him. So they show the juxtaposition there. And then, of course, where Bullseye is, you know, where he sings, where his wheelhouse is in long distance fighting. When you close the distance, that's where Matt has the advantage. And so they're yin and yang all the way through. And I've always loved that. Matt has a conscience, and you know, of course, he's ridden with guilt, whereas Bullseye, he's a complete sociopath or psychopath. I can't remember which one it is. Has no feeling towards it whatsoever. As a matter of fact, if you read the Gambit run with Bullseye, one of my favorite lines is written about him. He says, "I kill people like you breathe," and you know, that's who he is. That's why they call him the world's greatest assassin, because you know, for him, if he doesn't kill somebody, he feels completely off. So he loves it, and you don't get all that without him being written in this run this way here. I know some of it's kind of silly, but he took and repurposed Bullseye in a way that made him one of my favorite villains, and he still is one of my favorite villains to this day.
All right, Sam. I'm gonna unmute you for a quick. Might have a little echo, but I don't care. What do you think about all the Bullseye stuff? You know what I mean? I got you. You don't have to worry. I'll unmute you.
No, I got it.
All right.
Okay. My favorite what? My favorite Bullseye moment or what?
If you have a Bullseye moment,
or what do you think about the character?
Oh, I think he is the perfect. Well, besides the Kingpin, he is the perfect Daredevil, you know, villain. I guess you would call him a villain. And my favorite moment was when he had suffered he had suffered some kind of thing going on in his head, and he was seeing Daredevil everywhere. I was like, oh my God!
Oh, yeah.
everybody, start running! He sees Daredevil everywhere. Run! So,
he's like, I killed 3 or 4 Daredevils today.
So that's what. Yes.
Reminded me of Suicide Squad. Polka Dot Man seeing his mom everywhere, right? It was the same thing.
yeah, that's exactly what that is.
That's great.
Good one, Sam. My favorite moment with Bullseye is when he's in jail. You know, nobody goes near him. So one dude starts coming near him. I think a guard or someone was like, "What? Why is that dude coming near Bullseye? He's crazy." Yeah, he's crazy. He's Frank Miller. Frank Miller. He's a Frank Castle, the Punisher. He comes up on him. Not only did he comes up on him, he talks about killing and all that. He starts talking trash that the Kingpin hired a better assassin than him. You know what I mean? That took his place. You know what I'm saying? So that gets him mad. So he ends up wanting to have a little interview or something like that. And he uses a pill to poke the guard's eye, gets his gun, and escapes. so he could go kill Elektra. That's one of the issues, and that's how he escaped because Frank Castle came and talked shit.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And that helped Frank Castle because that's my favorite issue, by the way. And Frank Castle goes, the guy makes a deal with Frank Castle to go get Bullseye. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Go get Bullseye and stop the Kingpin.
That is a great issue, and you're right. He's just like, hire somebody better than me. What?
What?
Exactly.
He wasn't.
You know, it's like he wasn't motivated to break out of prison until he heard that.
Yeah. So he was just chilling there until he heard exactly. So that shows Frank Miller just put so much character into Bullseye and all that. Maybe fall in love with the villain, and now he's one of my favorite villains.
Right.
I know what Bob means now, you know.
But you see, exactly what you're talking about is exactly the point that I'm trying to make about how Frank Miller, paved the way for all this. Because if you look at that issue where Ed Brubaker writes Bullseye, it's when Daredevil's in prison himself, and Daredevil being blind, he can hear all the cacophony of all the prisoners yelling, all the cell doors, shutting, and all this activity throughout the whole prison. And all of a sudden, the whole prison starts to hush. It almost goes silent. And that's when Daredevil knows, and he says, he's here. And then you see Bullseye being wheeled in. And it's like the whole prison now is on edge because this guy will kill. It doesn't matter if you're good, bad, whoever you are, he will kill you. And so the whole prison goes silent. That type of scene would never be written unless Frank Miller hadn't paved the way for, just like you just said, nobody wanted to go near him. So I absolutely love it. He started the paradigm with Bullseye, and one of my favorite all-time characters, man.
Sweet. Sam, so anything else you want to say about this subject before we move on? Because I got one more thing to talk about before the end of that roulette issue.
Well, I just want to say that this definitely is hands down one of the best comic runs, pretty much, I want to say, of all time. I mean, you can't beat it. It's awesome writing, amazing art, great action, drama, just everything. Just wow.
I agree.
Yeah,
I love it so much. Yeah, I love it so much that when I go back and start reading the early stuff, because I think I'm up to issue 40 or something, as I go to the Frank Miller run, I'm gonna read it again. Like, I'm not stopping because I do want to read all the runs from Daredevil eventually, and I'm definitely gonna read this run. This is one of my favorite runs, not because Bob is here, you know what I mean, not because, but this has become one of my all-time favorite runs, and it rivals my favorite Spider-Man run, which is the John Romita and Stan Lee run. That's one of my favorite runs of Spider-Man. So it rivals that. That's how much I enjoy this. I loved it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to give the ratings because everybody knows it's gonna be a 5 for me. A backlogs. So I'm sure you guys it might be a 5 for you guys too. Right, Sam? maybe.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite all-time runs. It also has one of the most amazing issues in the Born Again series, which is an issue called Saved. Now, Apocalypse is the first part of that story, and that's amazing. When you see what Kingpin does inside of that to dismantle his life, and you realize he's been doing it all along, it'll blow you away. But Saved is the issue where he knows that, Karen Page basically sold him out for a hit of heroin. And that's how Kingpin knew about all this. And he goes and he saves her. And one of the things that is very dear to me is stories of redemption, stories of forgiveness. And there's a page where when he saves her, she is holding him and he's holding her, and they're on their knees. And the look of relief that is on her face is so well drawn, touched me so immensely. Back then, it still touches me now, and it's still one of my favorite issues of all time in comics. just that instance of forgiveness and the elation on her face of relief without ever saying a word. That's gold. Absolute gold.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. I before the resurrection issue 190, before the roulette one, I enjoyed that issue a lot. And the total end when it shows her all in white and all that, the suit in white, like she's been cleansed by Matt, who they were trying to resurrect her, and he was just heartbroken. He wanted to do it himself and all that, and he just couldn't. But he brought the like he took the sins off of her, you know what I mean? And when Stone, the stakes where he sacrificed himself and all that to help them, and Stone took over, you know what I mean? One of the stakes minions, he's not minion, but one of his guys, he ended up seeing that he was gonna cut her all up. He ends up seeing that happened, and he gets mad at Matt, and then he takes the body. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And it looks like she got resurrected at the end, and she ends up with the white suit. I love that issue.
Yeah,
you guys like that issue?
That's a great issue. It really was. Again, this is stuff. What he was doing. If he would have did that in the beginning, I don't think it would have had the impact that it did when you got to that particular issue. And so, another one that I absolutely love, especially when you get to that last page. So great pull, Big Herm.
Thank you. I will save that to the very last. I think this. Any final statements from you guys? I think that was my final statement right there. So we could go on to show and tell, because we are getting a little late on the show and all that. So, Sam, you want a final statement, and we'll finish it with Bob.
Let's see. Well, I want to say that it's always a pleasure to read this Daredevil run, and this is when I think of Daredevil, this is always like one of the first things I think of the Frank Miller run, and it's just amazing. I'm always blown away. So there you go.
Before Bob, I was trying not to do this because I didn't want to call to you, Bob. I'm so happy you even did this with me and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I will always love to cook more runs in the future with you if you ever want to come back. But this guy right here, Tugan Pedro, so when you bring him back to discuss the Daredevil Netflix series.
Hey man, just invite me back. It's just we just got to schedule it. I would love to. I pretty much guarantee that I probably watched that series more than anybody that you know. I almost guarantee that because I've seen it so many times all the way through. Yeah. So let's discuss it.
All right. I definitely would love to relive all those episodes again. So Tugan, I definitely want to do that show. So whenever we'll do that show in the future, right, Sam? I'm sure Sam don't mind, right?
I will totally say yes to that.
Yes. There
Just
you go, guys.
Just hit me up.
Bob will be back. We'll do the Netflix show. And whenever we do Daredevil, I'm going to be asking my man Bob. And if you could do it, here we go.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, man. That's an honor.
Daredevil expert. No problem, man. This was a lot of fun doing this with you guys. Did you give a closing statement, Bob? No, give your closing statement.
No, I'll just say that Frank Miller at that time, not just in Daredevil, but of course what he did on the Dark Knight as well. He changed the face of comics, and we always talk about the greats from the past, that would be up on that Mount Rushmore, but you can never forget Frank Miller for what he did for comics, what he did in comics. A lot of writers and artists, when they get older, they don't produce, stuff like they did when they were younger. But when he was hungry, when he was on it, he did it in such a way that wasn't an affront to anybody. He eased us into it. and created a paradigm shift that changed the face of comics to this day. And this is kind of where it all started right here. This is where he got his big break. This is where they gave him the reins, and it is so rereadable. It still works today. There's a lot of stuff in the past that doesn't work. When I go back and reread it, I kind of cringe. But this was, even just getting prepared for this show, going back and rereading it again, which I've done so many times, was such a joy. And Frank Miller will always be, in my heart. And as far as I'm concerned, my Mount Rushmore of comic book greats, he's got his face there for sure.
No argument here, man. Like, I was always a Frank Miller fan, but reading this ups that. You know what I mean? It's just, he's there too, man. That guy's, it's amazing. I just, like I said, I'm gonna read it again in the future. Can't wait to get into that. Brother Joe says, never knew so much about Daredevil. Makes me want to pick it up.
Right on, Brother Joe. Go check it out.
JT's like, same. I got do some diving to do. Fable's like, definitely need Bob on again. Like I said, I wasn't trying to corner you.
No, just let me know.
Backstage.
Hey, Big Herm, I love you, bro. You just let me know when you need me, and as long as I can schedule it, I'm here, bro.
I love it too, bro. And Sam does too. I'm sure he does. He was giddy because I didn't tell him when we planned it. I just sent them the thumbnail. I just like, he surprised me. He hit me up and said, "Yo, Bob was coming on."
I was glad that I finally got to see Sam in person again last week. It was cool. It was cool just seeing his face, being able to shake his hand,
awesome.
and talking to him across the table. Always good hanging out with you, Sam.
It was all that happened with this pandemic and all that. That's so beautiful. You guys
I
meet up again.
always got a lot of love for Bob. Got a lot of love.
Come on, bro.
Sleepy Rita goes, right on, Bob. Another awesome dude. Yeah, man. But you guys, I hate to interrupt you guys because I love you guys talking, but it's that time, guys. It's that time. And Sam knows where I'm going with this. Sam, as soon as I find the thumbnail, because I always take forever, but that beautiful sight, that gorgeous sight, show and tell. Let's go, baby. I'm pumped. This is one of my favorite segments always. I'm going to start because I have very little. You know what I mean? You guys are going to trump whatever I show. So I'm going to go first, selfishly, and give myself the little layout. Real quick, I got this one before I show this last thing. I got this one figure from, I know we're talking Daredevil and Marvel, but, Sam, cover your eyes or your ears. You know what I'm saying? I did get something, some DC, some Wonder Woman action right here.
Is that from the death metal?
Yes, death metal right here. That wacky death metal stuff that I didn't understand half the stuff, but I still enjoyed it. I don't even know.
Amazing.
Like I was with Robbie with this when he was telling everybody it's good. I
it's
agree.
Amazing.
But so yeah, the Robin King is. I had the Robin King. I showed it before, so I now need two more to build this big Batman dude from that series. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So yeah. So I just thought she was gorgeous, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? So, whoo, I got that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I probably showed this already, but I'll show it again. I figured that nobody could see but the toilet bowl and the head, but you can't see him. Peacemaker, where is he? You know?
Very cool.
Oh man, the John Cena jokes. I can't help it, guys. I can't help it. For me, it never gets old. But love the pop figure, and my guilty thing is I don't have a Daredevil pop figure yet. Like
what?
And Daredevil, yeah. Sorry, Bob.
I got a ball right
I'll go to my corner. I'll go to my corner after this. All right. Oh wait, I am in my corner, but I am gonna hunt one down because Daredevil is still, not because we did this show, it's still one of my favorite superheroes from growing up. Spider-Man being my first, so it makes sense that Daredevil was right behind him. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And last but not least, I got myself Booyaka! Not me, but this is for my wife. She won this at our wrestling show. She got the answer, Aretha Franklin, WrestleMania 3. So I still got to change the battery. It's kind of dead, but Sister Joe and Brother Joe, Sent this to my wife because she won it, and an awesome little mini wrestling buddy from back in the day. They redid them and stuff like that. I got John Cena, which I can't see him. He's somewhere over there. But and yeah, thank you, brother Joe. Thank you, sister Joe. My wife thanks you. She loves it. And that's it for me. And hope you guys like that mini show and tell. Because I don't know who wants to go next. Sam, you want to go next and let the superstar go last, or?
I don't have all that much, man. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll go. Let me go.
Okay.
I'll go. Okay. I'll show off some of these new books that I got today. You know, you gotta get your Kang on. These are the, I guess these are the days of Kang. So you gotta have your Kang going, right? Then we got some life story of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
I didn't love the first two issues, but I really enjoyed the third one. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
So, yeah. Then I don't know. They didn't have the regular cover, but guess what? I went with the Miles Morales Iron Man, which is kind of crazy. It's an Iron Man.
Looks like he's on the ones and twos, bro.
He's
you got Fable's heart. You got Fable's heart.
He's doing some beats there or something, you know. And then I had to go with this. The John Romita Jr.
Nice.
FF. There you go.
Very cool.
But I am not done. In honor of Bob, I thought I would show off some pretty cool recent pickups that I got here. Spider-Man teaming up with Daredevil here.
Nice.
See? Marvel Team Up 25 against the Unholy Trio. There you go. And then look at this. Daredevil 154.
Is that your oldest copy?
No, this is not my oldest copy.
Ooh,
that's a great issue.
I want to see the oldest copy now.
I thought that is so cool. All these villains, and the Purple Man is telling them, "Go forth and kill the Daredevil."
Yeah,
there you go.
Go get him.
So,
nice. So everybody know who's next. Oh, man,
Bob, let's go. I don't have much, but you know, I did already show a couple things off, so I definitely wanted to show that Frank Miller cover of issue 160. Of course, like I said, you'll never see this today. He's got Black Widow hung up by the cord of a blow dryer, a hair dryer, and so you know, as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of something that's iconic from when I was a kid, but you'd never see today. And that was the beginning of Frank Miller's run. I brought issue number 189. A lot of people don't realize this is the first appearance of Stick, which is you know, one of the great things that he did. And then of course, I just got this recently. I sold the copy that I had. This is a much nicer copy, but there's Daredevil 168, the first appearance of Elektra.
Oh yes, nice.
Very cool. Not sure if I'm going to get that one slabbed yet. I'm going to talk with Eric, my good friend, the Rogue Trader, and because it's got a couple of issues on it, I'm going to see if he can press it, and if he can get there's a couple of defects on it. If he can get those out, then I think I may send it in for slabbing. Otherwise, it's sitting in the PC. But that's the first appearance of Elektra, so I had to show that off. And then, so this is one of the few that I have slabbed. And the 9.8 has eluded me since I started coming back into collecting again. This is the second one that I've sent in to be slabbed. I thought I might have had it on this one, but it ended up coming back at 9.4.
Oh.
But there's that famous issue with the death of Elektra. And of course, I'm waiting for that 9.8 because that's the one I'm saying. That's the one I want to save to have Frank Miller sign. And
nice.
But in the meantime, that's the highest grade one I got so far. And then you know, I'm not too much into the action figure and toys. What you see behind me is all I got, right? And so I'm very selective on what I collect. But a couple of years ago, I ended up getting the Netflix version of Daredevil, which has a lot of articulations, and so that's always on my desk when I'm working. And then right next to him when I work, I always have his nemesis right there. And this is the one that's kind of cool. You can put the gun on him, but it also has this spray of knives that comes out. That's got like a swoosh and all the knives that's in it. And so I always love having these on my desk at work when I want to kind of check out for a minute. You know, a lot of people have like a picture of like Hawaii on their desk. I look down at Daredevil and Bullseye. That's what I do.
Yeah,
and
man,
then,
that's the way to do it.
And then a gift from my good friend God Tank. This always sits behind me. There's my Wilson Fifth. That is one of the best Kingpin figures I've ever seen. And it's the one that when I get dressed up, I'm like, yeah, that's what I look like right there. And then here, this is the God's honest truth. Out of everything that I have for Daredevil, this is my prized possession. I know you guys know our good friend Bobby De La Ghetto, Bobby De La G, baby.
Hardcore Station.
I really love that brother, and he sent me a couple of AOKs and over time. But when he sent me this one, this became very special to my heart because not a lot of people are into this character, and he did some finagling to make this work, and I know that he did, so that's why it's special to me. But this is the only Gladiator that I have in my collection, and he repurposed that. And it's the only one that I have, and it is immensely special to me, and I will always keep that behind me. Bobby De La G, love you, bro.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And so I definitely wanted to show that off. But there he is in all his glory. That's a repurposed like a football figure, and man, he does some awesome work. So Bobby, thank you very much. I will always keep that with me. So there's my show and tell for the day. All the characters that we saw, besides Stick and Electra. Man. There you go.
Nothing but fire. Oh, I only have a few little things, all fire. You know what I mean? that Bobby has done a lot of awesome masterpieces and sends it to all of us. Bobby, thank you. I have my Miles Morales back there standing, the little statue thing he did for me. So we always appreciate him, Brother Joe, and now Sister Joe gets in the mix and sends the community AOKs and all that. So love you guys. Station, big part of this community. Always love those people. Always love you all, man. Sam, I always appreciate doing this show with you every week. Welcome back. I missed you last week. I had fun with my backlot bros. I don't know what that is still, so don't ask. But I enjoy talking with them, but I did miss you. We got to talk about it on Friday, but how was your James Tynion signing and all that? Was it fun?
It was amazing. A long line, but it was worth it. Got to meet James Tynion IV, and amazing guy. He is a very positive guy, and he is pumped for all this stuff that he's writing. He's a really great guy. So
yeah, whatever he touches is gold right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's fire, man. He's fire. Okay, so I guess that's a show, fellas. Thank you again, Bob. Thanks for coming on here. And just educating us on the Daredevil yet again. You know what I mean? I like I said, I always appreciate talking to you guys. Like I said, I got hyped just the cameo you did the last time. So the fact that I got you for a whole show, me and Sam, I'm gonna be watching this again because I do appreciate you. You put up some good stuff. Anybody, probably everybody watching this already follows you, but if you don't follow this, man, come on, follow. You put some great stuff, and I always appreciate you guys. And thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute honor, Big Herm. Thank you for inviting me. Sam, I always love hanging out with you anytime I get a chance. And you guys brought up a lot of great stuff tonight too. So it was a back and forth, and I really appreciated that. But again, it was an honor to be here. Thank you very much for having me on. Of course, my channel is Everything Comics. I haven't been putting out much content lately. That's going to change here pretty quickly. But thank you again very much for the support. And as always, station.
Station. Sam, me and Sam will be back next week. We're gonna be talking a little somebody we love. Second movie of the Sam Raimi next week on Whiplash Wednesday. So check that out. Me and Sam we'll talk about one of Spider-Man fans all around favorite movie. It's in the #1 list of a lot of Spider-Man fans.
That's one of my favorite. I am like super over the top pumped up for this movie review. So.
I can't wait, man. I enjoyed the first one, so this second one's gonna be even better. Like my favorite will always be the first one because it's a special place in my heart. But if I had to rank it for real and being honest, this movie is probably #1 if you take out the Spider-Verse movie because that was so awesome. But can't wait to do that with you next week. Of course, tomorrow we have my man Fargate. Tomorrow about 6 p.m. We're finally doing our Amazing Collect Edition show. We didn't get to do it Monday. I was a little bit under the weather, but we're finally coming through and having that done. And then, of course, next up, Chamorro Cinema. My man Manny Manuel. They're gonna have a Hold My Beer. That's the name of the episode for me. He has another name for it, but that's Hold My Beer episode where they show figures and all that, and then, Phable's been on there, and he's like, "Oh, look at my Transformers," and then somebody else will come. Cairo Prime comes in there. Oh, look at mine. You know what I mean? And Slim Comics has been there too. You know what I mean? And they go wild. And Manny just there going, man, and looking around because he has a lot of good stuff too. What can I show now? You know what I mean? Love that show, guys. Check that out. Get your dinner, finish your dinner, go over there, check it out. Part of the Whiplash Wednesdays. Thank you, everyone, for just coming on. If you're watching on the rewind, thanks again. Comment down below what's your favorite part of the episode. It'd probably be all Bob stuff, but it's all good, and some Sam. You know what I mean? But once again, thanks everybody. You guys all know I always take forever to say goodbye because it's hard for me to. It's so hard to say goodbye, but. Come back next week. Check us out. Whiplash Wednesday. We have a whole new lineup. Next time I have the full lineup with you so I can show you. Brandon Comic Kings. Again, congratulations on being part of the Bad Batch, PCP Army Bad Batch crew. Part of Whiplash Wednesday. So, Comic Kings, part of our lineup. Station, my man. And like always, peace out, everyone.